The news hit hard. Across living rooms, break rooms, and factory floors, a wave of disbelief swept through communities. In a single announcement, thousands of Tesla employees suddenly found themselves out of work, their futures thrown into uncertainty. Tesla, once a symbol of American innovation and green jobs, now faced a harsh reality, one that no one saw coming just weeks before. The gigafactories, which had once buzzed with hope and ambition, became silent reminders of how quickly fortunes can change. For workers and their families, the layoffs weren't just about lost paychecks. They shattered faith in a future that once seemed secure and upended daily life. Local economies, from coffee shops to contractors, felt the shockwaves as spending dried up overnight, leaving small businesses struggling to survive. The dream of a revitalized American manufacturing sector, one built on clean energy and high-tech jobs, suddenly looked fragile, even fleeting. This event exposed how even the most celebrated companies with global reach and massive ambitions are vulnerable in a rapidly shifting world economy. Tesla's story became a cautionary tale about the collision of nationalistic policies, unpredictable markets, and the tangled web of global supply chains. Understanding why this happened, and what it means for the future, matters for anyone who cares about American jobs, the strength of our communities, and the promise of clean energy in a changing world. At the heart of Tesla's troubles is a simple concept: tariffs. But while the word might sound straightforward, the impact is anything but. A tariff is essentially a tax placed on goods that are brought into a country from abroad. Governments use tariffs to try to shape the flow of trade, and they can have far-reaching consequences for companies, workers, and consumers alike. Tariffs are meant to make foreign products more expensive, protecting local industries and jobs by giving domestic companies a better chance to compete. The idea is to encourage people to buy products made at home, which in turn supports local workers and keeps factories running. But for companies like Tesla, building an electric car is a global effort. It means sourcing hundreds of specialized parts from all over the world, especially from countries like China, which is a major supplier of key components. When tariffs are slapped on crucial items like batteries, microchips, and rare metals, the cost of making cars in America can skyrocket almost overnight. These aren't just minor expenses, they're the backbone of every electric vehicle. Imagine you're baking a cake and suddenly the price of flour and eggs doubles. You're left with a tough choice: either raise the price of your cake or accept making less money on every sale. That's the dilemma Tesla faces with tariffs. For Tesla, absorbing these extra costs wasn't sustainable in the long run. Raising prices risked driving away customers who might turn to cheaper alternatives, while keeping prices low meant shrinking profits and putting the company's future at risk. Ironically, tariffs that are intended to protect American jobs can sometimes end up hurting the very companies and workers they're supposed to help. When costs rise, companies may be forced to cut back, close factories, or lay off workers. Higher costs make American products less competitive, both at home and in the global marketplace. This can lead to fewer sales, unsold inventory, and a shrinking share of international markets. The result? Slower growth, less investment in innovation, and, as we've seen, job losses that ripple through entire communities. Tesla's recent layoffs are a stark reminder that trade policies crafted in distant government offices can have very real and sometimes devastating effects on the lives of workers and families on the factory floor. Tesla's layoffs weren't about shrinking ambition, they were a response to rising costs from new tariffs. Every imported battery, chip, and metal now came with a bigger price tag, squeezing Tesla's finances. The company faced three bad options: raise car prices, absorb the losses, or cut costs. Raising prices risked losing customers. Absorbing costs threatened future growth. Cutting costs meant layoffs, the fastest way to balance the books. The move was a direct result of trade policy, not a lack of vision. Even with factories in America, Tesla couldn't escape the global supply chain's vulnerabilities. Ironically, tariffs meant to protect American industry forced one of its icons to cut American jobs. Elon Musk addressed the layoffs on social media, calling them a tough but necessary step for Tesla's future. He hinted at economic pressures, but stopped short of blaming tariffs outright. For workers, corporate reassurances rang hollow. Livelihoods were lost in the name of strategy. Meanwhile, former President Trump, usually vocal about American jobs, stayed silent, despite these layoffs being linked to his own tariff policies. The silence highlighted the gap between political promises and the real-world impact of economic decisions. Behind the numbers are real people, skilled workers whose lives were upended overnight. These are men and women who dedicated years to their craft, building not just cars but dreams for themselves and their families. Their daily routines, friendships, and sense of purpose were all tied to their work at Tesla, making the sudden loss even more devastating. Many had moved families and built futures around Tesla, only to face sudden unemployment. For some, it meant uprooting children from schools, leaving behind friends, and starting over in unfamiliar places. The emotional toll was matched only by the financial uncertainty that followed, as families scrambled to adjust to a new reality. The ripple effect hit local businesses and entire communities, draining economic vitality. Restaurants, shops, and service providers that depended on Tesla workers saw fewer customers, and some were forced to close their doors. The loss of steady paychecks meant less spending, and the whole local economy began to feel the strain. The layoffs also triggered a brain drain, as top talent was snapped up by competitors, weakening America's edge in clean tech. Years of experience and innovation walked out the door, making it harder for the region to recover and for the industry to maintain its leadership in a rapidly changing global market. Economic policies like tariffs are often debated in abstract terms, but their true cost is measured in lost livelihoods and fractured communities. The impact is not just a line item on a spreadsheet, it's the empty chairs at dinner tables, the dreams put on hold, and the sense of security that vanishes overnight. The story of Tesla's layoffs is a stark reminder: policies meant to protect workers can sometimes do the opposite. Well-intentioned decisions can have unintended consequences, leaving those they were meant to help in even more precarious positions. It forces us to ask, are the intended benefits worth the real human cost? As we debate policy in boardrooms and government chambers, we must remember the faces behind the figures, and the lives forever changed by these decisions. For many, the answer is painfully clear. The scars left behind are not easily healed, and the questions raised linger long after the headlines fade. The fallout extends far beyond the factory gates, touching every corner of the community, and reminding us that every economic decision has a human story at its core. Tesla's layoffs cast doubt on the future of electric vehicles in America. If tariffs keep driving up costs, other automakers may hesitate to invest, slowing the shift to clean transportation. For consumers, this could mean fewer choices and higher prices, making EVs a luxury, not a solution for all. The episode shows that bringing jobs back isn't enough if supply chains remain exposed to global shocks. America's industrial future depends on smarter policies, stable trade, and realistic strategies. Even the most innovative companies can be derailed by decisions made far from the factory floor. The road to a green, prosperous future is uncertain and demands better choices for American workers and innovation.